Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. So there's really not much to talk about this episode. We do get the return of Emil Blonsky, but there's only one scene with Nikki, and Nikki's been like my MVP for the show, so I'm a little sad about that. But anyway, let's get in my review of episode 7 of She-Hulk. So the episode opens with Jen going on a series of dates with Josh, who she met at the wedding from last episode, and it's really cute to see Jen happy, and it's a really good contrast to all those dates that she went on in the 4th episode, and it looks like they really like each other, and they're having fun, and they're getting along, and so it's really kind of cute, actually, and it's kind of sweet. But unfortunately, things get a little suspicious after they sleep together, and then Josh stops texting her, and so Jen is like obsessively, constantly like checking her phone and stuff. And, you feel really bad for her. I mean, I think, maybe a lot of us remember what it was like dating. And I remember those days of, sometimes being ghosted. And it sucks, thank God I don't have to do that anymore. But, it sucks. And so I think we can all kind of feel for Jen a little bit in that, like, she thought she met this really nice guy. And then turns out maybe he's not so nice. So it's really sad. And it does kind of suck for Jen. And it kind of pushes her into this story that we're going through this episode. So then Jen gets a call from Emil Blonsky's parole officer, and she has to go to Emil's retreat to check on him to make sure that he hasn't turned into the abomination. And I love Jen's, like, in the car ride, she's, like, singing Bop by In Hansen. And I remember that because I used to love Hansen when I was a little kid. So it's kind of like a nice nostalgia for me. And I know who doesn't have those moments where you're just like trying to cheer yourself up, so you put on an old pop song that you remember from being a kid. So that was kind of fun. And then of course she gets to the retreat, and she, Emil's fine. He just kind of, his inhibitor just malfunctioned. But she then meets Man Bull and a guy named Alejandro, who's not a matador, but is a swashbuckler, he says. And they are in a fight, and they end up denting or crashing Jen's car. So she's stuck there for a few hours until she can get a tow truck to come out there. So Jen is stuck at Emil's retreat, and of course Emil wants to kind of help her, teach her all of his techniques and therapy and stuff. And at first she's like really resistant. She's going everywhere, checking for a cell phone signal. But then she kind of gives up. Well, she gets one bar inside the house where they're having their group therapy session, so she kind of stops there, and then she kind of gets pulled in to this group therapy session. So then Jen meets one of the guys that was on the wrecking crew that attacked her at the end of episode 3 trying to get her blood. So he's there, like the leader guy, he's there at this retreat kind of working on his insecurities and why he thought he needed magical weapons and, doing whatever he was doing. And Jen kind of calls him out like, yeah, you're a villain for attacking women at night or something. So he's there, not sure really why he's there. Get into that a little bit later. But anyway, so everybody's opening up about their problems. So they kind of finally get Jen to open up about her issues as well. And of course Jen feels like people only like her and, give attention to her when she's in She-Hulk form. And, she just wonders if guys would stick around if she was not She-Hulk all the time. Which is, I think, what we kind of heard from the dates in episode 4. And I think episode 5 when they had to come back for the trial or whatever. And it's actually kind of sad because Jen shouldn't, need the She-Hulk to be special in her own right. But I think that She-Hulk is now a part of her, and that she needs to learn how to deal with that more, and that sometimes there is going to be times when She-Hulk needs to come out, but then she can also go about her life as Jen, and I think she needs to kind of work on maybe integrating those two sides a little bit better. But I mean, Jen is great just as she is, and so it's kind of one of those things of she's awesome, and if other people can't see that, then that's their problem. So, but She-Hulk has her purpose and everything, and so I do feel bad for Jen because she shouldn't have to be in She-Hulk form to get dates, and she thought she had a good date with Josh, but turns out maybe not. So that really kind of is what sent her down into this sort of spiral of why she's feeling like crap and is in this group therapy session. So this episode is really just about Jen's personal progress and journey and what it means to be Jen, what it means to be She-Hulk, and how she can maybe kind of work on that better. So, the guys in the group therapy session kind of embrace her as just Jen and everything. And so we meet some interesting characters. Obviously, we had the Man Bull and the not Matador Alejandro. And then we also have a guy that thinks he's a vampire, but he's not Blade. And then there's a man in a porcupine costume. And then also the guy that was from the Wrecking Crew. So at the end, the man in the porcupine costume takes off his mask. So he had some sort of progression. And then we have Man Bull and not Matador and their weird codependent relationship. And I think this show thinks that all these characters are funny and they're supposed to be providing us some fun comedy, like, oh, look at these wacky characters, but I'm not really laughing. I think the vampire guy maybe made me laugh once or twice just with his obsession of blood, but I don't like the Man Bull character. I don't understand why the Matador guy is... I guess he says he's upset because it's a stereotype because he's Spanish or something, but then don't dress like a Matador. I don't know. Or don't fight Man Bulls. So it's kind of weird. I don't really care for these characters. They're not providing the comedy I think the show thinks that they are. But these guys do kind of rally behind Jen, and they get her to delete Josh's number, and they're giving her, all this advice, saying, oh, you were ghosted, and he's not good for you, and everything, and I don't really, there's no women in this group's therapy session. I don't really like this idea that men are giving Jen advice, and it almost feels like they're saying, oh, only the nice, sweet guys, they're just the weirdos and stuff. And it's kind of weird. I think there should have been some women in this group therapy session to give a different perspective for Jen. And yeah, I don't like those characters. I just don't. And then the episode ends with a flashback to 3 days later when Jen slept with Josh, and it's revealed that Josh is the one working for the Hulk King, and he did get Jen's blood, which sucks because I wanted him to just be a good guy that likes Jen for who Jen was. But I think we all kind of suspected that maybe it was a little too good to be true. So, it's really sad for Jen. But also, does the guy in the Wrecking Crew from the retreat, does he know who Josh was? Was Josh one of the Wrecking Crew members, the guy that was wearing the mask? Weren't they working for the same person? And if so, why didn't the Wrecking Crew guy, mention something about Josh? Because the vampire wannabe mentioned that, oh, maybe Josh is after her blood, and the Wrecking Crew guy was quick to say, no. But Josh was after her blood, just for different reasons. So that just kind of seems a little weird that he just happens to be at the retreat with Jen, and, Josh is the one that's getting the blood and everything. So it is really kind of a sad reveal that Josh wasn't the nice guy that we all thought he was, because it looked like they were having some good times on those dates. But we still don't know who the Hulk King is. Who's the one hiring? There's some, speculation that maybe it's the leader from the Incredible Hulk movie. Maybe it's that Todd guy. I think it's probably the Todd guy. I don't think it's Titania anymore. But also, what are we doing with Titania? Why is she some sort of random antagonist? What's going on there? And how did she get powers? Why does she have powers? And why does nobody care that she has powers? If She-Hulk is such a big thing, shouldn't Titania, she is a big influencer, but shouldn't her having powers be some big reveal? So there's just a lot of weird stuff going on in this show and dangling threads, and we got the payoff of somebody getting her blood, but we still don't know who was after the blood. So this was a decent episode. Again, the comedy didn't really work. I think it works as a exploration of Jen's life and her journey and her dealing with the She-Hulk persona. I think the episode works on those terms. Emil Blonsky, he's actually kind of a boring character now, so I don't really care that we got him back. I guess it was kind of nice to see a familiar face, but I didn't like any of those group therapy characters. I thought they were not that great. Maybe the vampire guy was okay, but they weren't really that interesting. So I don't want to go on a huge rant again about my problems with this show, but I do want to say that I do think the Disney Plus shows are just not approaching these shows as actual television shows. I mean, they're not even writing them as miniseries. I don't know what they're writing. This show feels like it wants to be an episodic, law, comedy show, but it's not doing any of those. It's really just Jen. It's the Jen show, which is great. Tatiana Maslany does a great job. And, we got a little bit of She-Hulk and everything, but, I think, like I said, there's only one scene with Nikki in this episode, and I think the show really works best when we're getting Nikki and Pug and Mallory and the lawyers doing their thing and working together, and, it should be an ensemble cast. It shouldn't be solely focused on Jen and her whatever journey we're doing with her and She-Hulk. That's just not working. It should be an ensemble cast working together, solving law cases, and Jen being She-Hulk on the side. That's really what the show should have been. I don't know what they're writing. I mean, we did get 9 episodes, but which is more than the 6 episodes, but they're 9 episodes that aren't better than any other Disney Plus show. So you're just getting 3 extra okay episodes. But I really think that they had a great concept, possibly, if that was their concept of being a law comedy. I'm starting to think it wasn't. So I think that they could have had a great concept, and that they just don't know how to write television shows. And I mean, this is for a streaming service, which should be approached slightly different than network television shows because you don't have commercial breaks. But still, it's not structured. Television shows are structured differently than movies or even miniseries. And this show is just not structured in any type of way. It wants to be part law comedy, and then it's all Jen journey, and then we throw Titania in the mix every now and then. We throw Wong at you every now and then, and Abomination at you every now and then, but it's not meshing together at all. So that's kind of my main problem with this show. I really would love for the Disney Plus shows to get construct your television show properly. WandaVision, I think, was done well. The Mandalorian, I think, is done very well. That's an episodic show that is, each episode is its own thing, but it also progresses the overall story. I just think that these shows lately just have not done that. Ms. Marvel I thought was great, but it did have a lot of problems too. Mainly it was great because it was an ensemble cast. You had her and her family and her friends. And I think this show is missing the mark of not including those side lawyers more into the overall plot of the episodes. So, again, I don't want to go on a huge rant. I know I could talk all day about what's wrong with these Disney Plus shows. I actually do really like them. I sound really down. I'm still somewhat enjoying She-Hulk. I know a lot of people have kind of dropped off on the show. I am still enjoying it. Overall, I'm enjoying all the Disney Plus shows. I just think that they could just be a little bit tighter and a little bit better. Because this is supposed to be a fun, light She-Hulk show, and we're not really having fun. So, I just hope that... I'm still hoping... And when we're going to get Daredevil? We're getting Daredevil next episode? I'm starting to think he's not going to show up till the last episode. So... I mean, what are we doing with this show? But anyway, I'm still going to stick around. We only got 2 episodes left. So, that's my thoughts on the 7th episode of She-Hulk. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Are you still sticking with the show or not? Go ahead and hit the thumbs up button if you like this video. Be sure to subscribe to the channel for more Marvel reviews. I do the weekly She-Hulk reviews, and I'm doing my Marvel MCU movie reviews. Next up is Iron Man 3. And if you guys want to help support the channel in another way, be sure to check the link in the description below. You can buy me a cup of coffee. So thank you all for watching, and until next time, Abomination. Bye.